Hey folks, thanks for joining us this morning. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes here. We got some folks still dialing into the webinar, so just hang tight for about 2 minutes and then we'll get kicked off here. Thanks.
Okay, hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Drew Ellis. I'm the account manager for Resolve. You probably know me as the person who sent out all the emails to make sure you registered for today. So, as well as being an authorized reseller for Bluebeam, Resolve also sells Vectorworks, Cinema 4D, and Modo across Canada. On staff, we have a Bluebeam sales professional in Mike Nelson. So, as well as selling the software, we can also provide support, training, and answer any questions you have about it. Today's webinar is going to be run by Steve Jones from Bluebeam. Steve manages Bluebeam's channel sales team, which supports 200 plus partners spread across the globe. And today Steve's going to take us through the basics of Bluebeam Review 2016, take a look at how the interface works, anything that's new in 2016, lots more good stuff. So we're going to be looking at the Windows version today. I know that a lot of you use Macs, but don't worry, the Mac version is almost identical, and that's going to be released next month, April 12th. So I think we've got a good number of people here right now. So Steve, whenever you're ready, I guess we can get started.
All right, thanks Drew. It's great to be here this morning, and thanks everyone for taking the time out of your day to join in this webinar. So it's going to be a good one. We're going to go over just Bluebeam Review at a high level, what sort of sets us apart from other PDF software out there on the market. I know that we have some folks on the line that are a little bit newer to Bluebeam Review, so we're going to make sure and just kind of touch on the basic aspects. And then we're also going to deep dive into specifically what's new in this latest release of Bluebeam Review, which the 2016 version for Windows just a few weeks ago. And then, as Drew mentioned, we do have our very first ever Mac version, which is coming on April 12th, just about a month away. So really excited about branching out into the Mac ecosystem as well. And so for those folks wondering what the Mac version is going to look like, unfortunately I wasn't able to show it to you today since it hasn't been released yet, but rest assured the interface is extremely similar. So what you're going to see today is pretty much what you can expect from the Mac version as far as the interface goes. So for those folks, I've already gotten some questions in the questions window about this. We will be recording this webinar, So I'm recording this webinar right now. We're going to get a copy of this over to Resolve Software Solutions so that they have it. And if you'd like to watch the webinar later or share it with your coworkers, they can set you up with that. So with that, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So firstly, just Bluebeam review at a high level and what we do. At our core, we are a PDF application that's really designed with technical users in mind. So our bread and butter is the AEC industry, so architecture, engineering, and construction. And we're also increasingly breaking into oil and gas as well. That's another big industry for us. Essentially, folks that are working with drawing sets, anyone that's working with those, that's right in our wheelhouse. And one of the great things about Bluebeam Review, just as a software, is it's sort of like a PDF Swiss Army knife, so to speak, that you can apply to pretty much any sort of stage in the project lifecycle. So you can see on the screen just some examples of steps along the project lifecycle from feasibility and front-end engineering and design all the way through operations and maintenance, asset lifecycle management. You can apply Bluebeam Review to any of these. We are not pigeonholed to one specific workflow, so there's a lot of utility there. In terms of our traction, so you can see some numbers here as reported by Engineering News Record. These are U.S. numbers, but it just kind of gives you a feel for some of the I guess, our place in the U.S. market. We're also increasingly expanding into Canada and other international markets as well. But just to give some of these numbers here, 56% of the top U.S. specialty contractors are already Bluebeam Review customers, 58% of the top international design firms, 78% of the top design build firms, 80% of U.S. design firms, and I particularly like this last number, 86% of the top U.S. contractors are already using Bluebeam Review today. So pretty impressive numbers. We're continuing to grow, especially into Canada. Canada is a really hot market for us, so excited to expand into there with our partner Resolve. So as far as the itinerary for today, I'm going to be just talking over Bluebeam Review at a high level, talking through the new features, and then we'll get into the live demo portion. I'll do a very fast general overview demo of Review, and then we'll deep dive into the specific features. So firstly, just to start with the basics of Review, why is it different than some of the other PDF applications in the marketplace? I like to boil down all the different features and speeds and feeds. You can really boil them down to these 5 bullet points here. So firstly, the interface is extremely intuitive and easy to use, and it's customizable. We're big proponents here at Bluebeam of the idea that software should not be one size fits all. We have many different types of customers out there in the world that are doing different types of work and have different types of preferences. So the entire interface is customizable to your specific needs and preferences. Next, the markup tools are extremely easy to use. It is easier to mark up drawings in PDF format than it is with pen and paper, and I'll show you why that's the case very shortly here. As you're placing these markups on the drawing and customizing their visual properties, you can save them for future use in the tool chest, which is another exclusive feature of Bluebeam Review. You can essentially create a markup one time, save it, and then you never have to create that markup ever again. Furthermore, you can export those tool sets that you create out to other users. So if you'd like to standardize your markups across your organization, it's very easy to do so. Next, the markups list. It tracks all of the markups that you're placing on these drawings. So you have essentially a running report of who said what and when and where. So really keeps track of all the collaboration that's taking place. And on the topic of collaboration, that last bullet point, Bluebeam Studio, that's our cloud collaboration platform, which is actually completely free with all versions of Review. So for those folks on the line that already own Bluebeam Review, you already have access to Studio. And it's a cloud collaboration platform accessible from right within Revu. It's just going to be in a side panel. And using it, you can upload as many documents as you want into the cloud, unlimited storage space, and you can share them with anyone, anywhere, even if they don't own Bluebeam Revu. They can just download the free viewer and jump into that project and have full markup capabilities just as if they did. So this is a great way to collaborate on your documents without having to worry about everybody, owning the software or having, the same subscription like you would with some other solutions. So with that, that's sort of the basics. Again, I'll demo those for you in just a little bit, but let's dive into the new stuff, shall we? So I can honestly say that this latest release, 2016, is truly the best version that we have ever come out. And I'll show you why. So you can see all these different new features there on the screen, and I'm just going to kind of talk through what exactly they do. So firstly, batch markup summary. So what this does in a nutshell is it allows you to compile markup summary reports from lots and lots of PDFs at one time. So where this might be particularly useful is if you're performing design review. So if you think about a design review workflow where you have lots of people that are placing markups and comments on different drawings, a lot of times you want to create reports out of that to show exactly kind of who said what and to create task lists and so forth. Well, in older versions of Revu, one of the frustrations was if you're dealing with lots and lots of single-page PDFs, you had to essentially run those reports on each individual PDF, which was a little bit of a hassle. So what we've done in this latest release is you can do this on a batch basis and generate those reports from lots of PDFs at one time. Next, we have legends. So legends I like to describe as, it's sort of like legends on a map where you have all your various symbols on there and exactly what they mean. So where this might be useful in the context of Bluebeam would be for those performing takeoffs or if you're doing punch and you just want a quick and easy reference right on your drawing that tells you exactly what these different markups mean. That's what legends allows you to do. Next, Revit enhancements. I know that obviously we've got a lot of Vectorworks users on the line, so maybe this part is not as big of a deal for y'all. But if anyone does happen to be using Revit, we do have some enhancements to our plugin, namely more accurate transfer of section boxes and linked model info, better representation of material colors on 3D PDFs, and lastly, Revit rooms to spaces. So one of the frustrations with Revit users previously was that they would take the time to set up all these rooms in Revit, and then those would essentially be lost once you transferred over to PDF. So this is no longer the case. It will carry those rooms over to Bluebeam utilizing what we call spaces. Next, document management tool enhancements. So these are enhancements to 3 different features that we've introduced in prior versions. So firstly, AutoMark. AutoMark, for anyone who's not familiar, it's a feature that allows you to automatically generate page labels for your documents. And you can do this on a variety of different things. You can do it on your file name based on bookmarks, or you can do it just on a page region. So if on all of the sheets that you have the sheet numbers in the bottom right-hand corner, you can essentially tell Revu to just look in that bottom right-hand corner and use that text for all your page labels. So the improvement this year for that feature is that when you're defining that page region for your page labels, you can also do vertical text as well as horizontal text. So before it was only horizontal, now it will recognize vertical as well. Next enhancement, batch link. So batch link is a feature that allows you to automatically generate hyperlinks, potentially hundreds or even thousands of hyperlinks on your document sets just automatically. And it's a tremendously powerful time-saving feature that our customers really, really like. And a common setting for folks to use with this feature was to set it up where when you create those hyperlinks, it also highlights them on the page so that they're easy to visually distinguish. But one of the frustrations in older versions of Revu is that when you did that, it would log all those highlights as markups in the markups list. So you can imagine a situation where if you generate 1,000 hyperlinks, that's 1,000 markups in your markups list. Just creates a lot of clutter that you don't really need. So now we've tweaked it, and you do have the option to make it where those are not tracked in the markups list. Next, batch slip sheet is another one that we improved. Batch slip sheet allows you to, kind of as the name implies, allows you to slip sheet large quantities of documents in a batch process, and it intelligently matches your original drawings with your revisions. So one of the frustrations before was that when you did this, it would give you a report showing you all the ones that were successfully matched, but it didn't really address any of the ones that it missed for whatever reason. So that's no longer the case. Now you will be prompted if, for whatever reason, any of the pages are successfully matched together. You'll also get the option to manually match those as you see fit. Next up, as far as new stuff, tags and drawing logs. So you can now apply tags to the different documents in your document sets, and you can use these tags to quickly generate drawing logs. So an example of where this might be useful is if you're a, let's say, a project engineer, and you needed to be able to quickly and easily organize your project files and then create drawing logs for your team to reference that have whatever files they need. This is something you can very quickly accomplish using this feature. And lastly, lots and lots of general enhancements. Too many to list here, but some of the ones that I particularly like are our OCR engine is better than ever. So OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. And essentially what it means is that if you want to scan in a paper document into PDF, but then make the text on that document selectable and searchable, that's what OCR accomplishes. So our OCR is going to work faster, and it's going to be more efficient than ever before. Next, markup alignment tools. So as you place markups on the page, you can quickly align them to the left, right, top, center, bottom, etc. of the page. And also bookmarks. So all the bookmarks for your document sets, you can now export them out to other users. So if you want to share your bookmarks, very, very easy to do so now. All right, so that's a quick overview of all the new stuff. I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing me talk and you just want to see it in action. So let's get into the cool stuff, shall we? So I mentioned before that I'm going to give just a really quick overview of just Bluebeam Revu in general for some of the newer folks on the line. And then after that, we'll really deep dive specifically into all the new stuff. So if you have any questions as I'm going along, just type them in that questions box. I'm pretty much going to power through this presentation without any pauses, but we will have some Q&A at the end. So all those questions you're typing in the questions window, I'll address them at the end of the call during that Q&A session. So don't be shy. Try and stump the Bluebeam guy and type some questions for me in there. So let's jump into Bluebeam Revu, shall we? Let's go ahead and open that up here. I just reset all my settings, so it's just prompting me for my studio login again. Let's go ahead and log in there. Alrighty. Cool. So we're in Bluebeam Revu. Let me just open up a drawing here for us to look at as an example. So first item that I wanted to show you was the intuitive interface. I mentioned that it's customizable to your specific needs. So the way that we accomplish this in Bluebeam Revu is using what we call profiles. You can think of profiles as sort of saved presets for the layout and interface of Bluebeam Revu and what tools you have toggled on and which you have toggled off. So you have some different ones. Let me just swap to, for example, this simple profile. When I do so, you'll notice that everything becomes very stripped down. A lot of those icons and logos and buttons have disappeared. Whereas if I swap over to, for example, construction, now I have all these tools along the top as well as along the right-hand side here. But I'm not really limited to just these presets. I can also customize it further. So if I right-click here, I've got all the various different tools I can toggle off or on. Let's say that I'm doing lots of advanced text editing. Let's toggle that one on, and you can see that it's now displayed here. But on the other side, let's say that I never use those line style tools. I really don't care about them. I just want to get them out of there. I can toggle those off, and now they're gone. So you can customize this to your specific needs. Once you've got it set up exactly the way you'd like it, you can actually save your own custom profile. So I'm just going to call this the Steve profile, and we're going to save it for future use. And you'll notice in this drop-down that that Steve profile is saved right there. So if I ever just want to jump back to how I have everything set up now, I can do so very easily. And profiles can be exported out to other users. So if you wanted to set up some sort of standard profiles for your company or for specific teams in your company, it's very easy to do so, and then you can export those out to everyone else and get everyone standardized. It really helps for training and onboarding purposes if you have everybody operating with the same profiles. So that's profiles and a little bit about the interface. Let's talk about the markup tools. So markup tools are obviously a very bread and butter core feature for us. And like many things in Revu, there's more than one way to go about it. So if I want to access my markup tools, I can do so along the top here. You can see all these markup tools that are available to me. And also, if I open this drop down, you'll see that I have hotkeys assigned to all these markup tools. So if I wanted to use that pen tool, for example, I can just hit P on my keyboard and then just draw with that pen tool. Also, I've got these markup tools along the right-hand side as well. And I can just click and use those as well. Personally, I like to use the ones on the right-hand side, so I'm going to operate in that way. And as far as what sort of markup tools you can expect, it's all the sort of usual suspects for an application such as this. So you've got your lines and arrows and polygons and polylines and so forth. So everything you would expect. But then we've got some more sort of AEC specific types of markups. So for example, if I wanted to draw a cloud around this restroom, and I could use a call out and ask a question about it and say, is this ADA compliant? So ADA actually stands for American Disabilities Act. So I'm asking if this is compliant with those standards. Something else really cool is you can actually embed images. So let's say I was walking through this building. I see an enormous crack in the wall. Rather than just describing what that crack looks like, I can actually snap a photo and drop that cracked wall right on my drawing, and then maybe draw an arrow to where that issue is. And let's put a text box saying, fix this. All right, so I've different markups on here, and it was pretty easy, but all these markups are just red, right? That's not very helpful to me. So I really want to customize the visual properties a bit and color code different types of comments that I'm making. So let's customize this cloud to start. So what I'm going to do is go into this properties panel. And in this properties panel, I can adjust the visual properties of this cloud that I have selected. So if I want it to be, for example, blue, and then make it transparent so I can see through it, and adjust my line width. There we go. So that cloud looks great. It's just the way I want it. Let's say I want this call out to have the same color properties. Well, we actually have a format painter tool you can use right here, and I'll just hit it with that and then adjust the line style so it's just a straight line. Cool. So that was pretty easy, right? Customize these markups a little bit to my preferences, but I don't really want to have to do that each and every time I open Revu. So this is where the next item comes into play, that tool chest we were talking about. So the tool chest allows you to save these markups for future use. So I'm going to show you how that works. Let's jump into my tool chest. So you can see here I already have some markup tools that are saved. And then I have these recent tools that I've been using. So here's that call out I just used that I could reuse if I wanted to. And here's that blue cloud we just used as well. But if I wanted to save these for a more long-term basis, I would want to create a tool set. So let's go ahead and create one, shall we? And I could call this whatever I wanted. Let's say it's Steve's electrical tools. I'll go ahead and save that. So now I've got that blank tool set I just created. So there's Steve's electrical tools. And to populate it, it's a pretty simple affair. All I'm going to do is click and drag these tools over. So there's that blue cloud, and there's that blue call out, and there's that text box I just used, and there's that line. So pretty easy. And now every time I jump into review, I can reuse these markups. I could reuse this call out. If I don't want that exact same text, I just want the visual properties, I can double click on that and just go to drawing mode and just say whatever I would like there. And just like profiles, these tool sets can be exported out to other users. So this is huge, not only for saving time, so you don't have all these different employees that are wasting a bunch of time recreating all their markup tools from scratch. It also helps you to standardize. Standardization is huge. You can get coordinated with the way that you're communicating with one another. So you don't have people just using a random mishmash of colors. You can really get organized. So that is the tool chest. Next thing I want to hit on is this markups list. So I mentioned that the markups list is a running record of all the markups that you're placing on that drawing. So if I look at this drawing we're working on and pop open the markups list, here's that record of all the things I've been doing. So this is almost like an Excel spreadsheet right within Review that tracks all my markups for me. And like Excel, you can sort it and you can filter it, and you can toggle off the different columns as you see fit. So maybe I really don't care about the color of these markups, but I really do care about the area measurements because I'm doing flooring takeoffs, for example. So I'm going to toggle that on. So you can set this up however you would like. Something else really cool with the markups list is that you can not only just track the stuff you're doing, you also have the ability to import markups from other people. So let's say that I emailed this drawing off to 3 of my consultants. They each individually marked up their own copies and emailed them back to me. And I want to essentially scrape off all their markups and put them on my one master copy. It's easy to do that. So if I just go to import right here, and let's find some good comments to import. Here we go. So I've got some electrical, mechanical, and plumbing comments. These are just PDF. It's just the exact same PDF we're looking at. It's nothing special. And there we go. I just imported them on there. So you can see those electrical, mechanical, and plumbing comments have been dropped right onto my drawing, and they're all in the markups list too. So I've got all that handy metadata. So very cool stuff. And from here, this is where I can generate a markup summary that would have all of this stuff in a report format. I'll get into that in a little bit when we start showing the batch markup summary. But I want to hit on this last bullet point here as far as big sort of key features within Review, and that's Bluebeam Studio. So again, this is included for free. I'm not trying to sell you another product. It's right there in Review. You get access to it. It's unlimited. You can upload as many files as you want in there. And the way that you access it is right in this side panel here. So in the side panel on the right-hand side, you can see all the various things I've been working on in Studio. And Studio has sort of 2 flavors, so to speak, or 2 ways of working within it. You've got Studio Projects and you've got Studio Sessions. So projects is more long-term document management storage. So it's almost like a lightweight document management system. It operates almost kind of like a SharePoint. So you upload your project files. Only one person can have them checked out at a time and be making changes. They make their changes and then they check it back in. So that's kind of the way that projects operates. And let me just open up a project so you can kind of see what that looks like. So here we go. I've got my project folder and all my various subfolders in there. Anybody that I invite to this project can can open these files, but you'll notice that my markup tools are locked down right now. It's because I don't have this checked out. If I check it out, now all those markup tools are unlocked. I can do whatever I want. I'll just place a quick cloud there. What I've done, check it back in. I can put some comments if I want. And now anybody that opens up this copy is going to see the most current edition. So this drawing we're looking at is not on my computer. It's saved in the cloud. It's all hosted in Amazon Web Services. Something else really cool with projects is we have revision tracking. So if you want to see all the previous revisions, you can open previous revisions. You can also restore them. So if someone breaks something, you can always go back and fix it and just restore to an earlier version if you would like. So that's projects, kind of brief overview. Let's look at sessions. So sessions is a little bit different. It's designed for real-time collaboration. So in sessions, you can have up to 500 simultaneous users in the same document at the same time, marking it up in real time. And as anyone places markups, everyone else will see those immediately. So this drawing we're looking at is actually hosted in a session. You can see here the various attendees that I've had in here at different points in time. You can see here the documents I've uploaded. I've got all my markups on the drawing as well as tracked in that markups list just like before. And I've got this running record. This is telling me exactly who did what and when they joined, when they left, what they changed. You can type to each other, so you can see here that I typed a chat message saying, hey, look at this. If I want to see what I was looking at whenever I said that, I can just click on that. It's going to snap me to the specific view I had whenever I typed that chat message. Something really big with sessions is accountability. So you'll notice that if I select somebody else's markup, so for example, this markup here, or maybe this one by Aaron Cordy, my control points are grayed out. I can't move this, I can't change it, I can't delete it, I can't do anything with it. The only markups I can change are my own. And even if I do that, so this blue cloud is mine, let's say I move it, as soon as I do that, it's tracked in the record that I moved that cloud. So this is very, very important for accountability. Nobody can go in after the fact and tamper with other people's stuff or say, oh, well, you know, I never said that, or actually I said this. Well, you have a record. Everyone is highly accountable. So that's Studio in a nutshell. So that was just a quick and dirty overview of Bluebeam Revu as a whole. So let's dig into specifically the new stuff. So again, here's those new features. And first thing I want to dig into is that batch markup summary. So again, that was a feature that allows you to pull markup summary reports from a large quantity of PDFs all at one time. So let's check out how that works. I'm going to go ahead and just exit out of the stuff I was doing in Studio here. And let's close that drawing we're looking at. Let's just start fresh. Great. So in order to do this, I'm actually going to go to File, Batch, and you can see here there's a variety of different batch processes I can run. In this case, I'm going to show Batch Summary. I'm going to go ahead and add all the various files that I'd like to pull a markup summary from. So here's a bunch of just one-page PDFs. And I want to create a report of all the markups on these one-page PDFs. I have some options as far as what information from the markups list I'd like to carry over. In this case, I don't really want all this stuff. Let's just say I want the subject, the page, let's do status, author, date, comments, and responsibility. So next, it's going to have some options as far as filtering and sorting of my data. If I wanted to filter down to just specific subjects, for example, I could do so. I'm going to leave all the filters toggled off so that we have lots of data to look at. But let's adjust the sorting order. So I mentioned that design review is a really common application of this. Let's say that from that design review, I wanted to create a task list for different people. Since I'm doing a task list, let's sort first by responsibility, and then let's do by status, and then by subject. All right. So there's some additional options here as far as the format. I'm just going to stick with PDF. Obviously, here at Bluebeam, we're big fans of the PDF format. I can change the title if I would like. So I'll just call this Steve Sample Summary. Let's go ahead and add the date on there. So we'll pin the date on there automatically. And this is really cool. So I'm actually not limited to just the template reports built right into Review. I can load in my own templates as well. So let's use one of my own. I've actually got this sample template for an imaginary company for BG Construction. And I'm just going to adjust this box right here to basically say where I want my data to be placed on this template. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to change the file name here. Okay. So there we go. I've got some more options as far as the visual preferences. But I do want to note out or note these two buttons down here. Settings and configuration. Yes, not necessarily all the same ones over and over again. But for this demo, I'm just going to proceed with things as they are. So it's just going to take a couple moments there while it's generating that report. All right, and there's that summary report. So there's that nice template that we loaded in there. And here's that report of all the markups that were placed on those various pages, sorted by the order that I specified. And I've got all the information here that I set up as information that I would like on there. I've got a little screenshot of these markups, and these, yeah, these are really cool. Just give you a little glance at what's on the page. It looks like I actually forgot to set up hyperlinks, but you can also set this up where if you click on these thumbnails, it jumps you to that specific spot on the page, which is a really cool feature. Makes it easier to navigate between these different markups. So this is how batch summary works. So from there, I'd like to move on to the next feature, which is legends. And I mentioned that legends, it's sort of like legends on a map. It shows you all the various symbols or markups that are on your drawing and what specifically they mean. So it just makes your drawings a lot more user-friendly. So firstly, I'm going to show you an example of this in the context of takeoffs. So let's go ahead and open a good example of that. So here we go. Here's an airport project where I've been doing some flooring takeoffs. So you can see the various area measurements I've taken here, and if we look at the markups list, I've defined different types of flooring, so concrete, hardwood flooring, resilient flooring, and so on. And I've also set up a square footage cost. So this allows me to essentially calculate flooring costs as I'm doing these area measurements. But something that you'll notice is a little bit frustrating here is that looking up here at the drawing, it's not easy to visually discern what is the difference between blue and purple and orange and yellow. Like, what do all these things mean? And I can figure it out by going down here in the markups list, but it would be really nice if it was just right here on the drawing. And this is what Legends does. So let's go ahead and create a legend. To do this, I'm going to select a lot of these markups up here on the drawing. Here we go. And then I'm going to right-click and create legends. And we'll drop that on the page. So there's my legend. Let's make it a little bigger so you can actually read it. And it's telling me exactly what is carpet versus concrete versus hardwood flooring, and so on and so forth. So really handy, but as with all things in Revu, it's not one size fits all. I can customize this. So let's say I want to change the title to flooring types. There we go. And let's say I'd like to edit my columns, and I want to show specifically those materials. There we go. I toggle those on. So now it breaks out the different types of carpet. So carpeting 1, 2, 3, and the different types of hardwood flooring, and so on and so forth. So it makes it a little more user-friendly. Something else that's cool about Legends is they will dynamically update as you change things on the drawing. So the square footage cost or square footage quantity, for example, if I delete this box right here, you'll notice the second number is going to go down. And that's because it's automatically tracking all the markups that are on this page and dynamically updates. So very, very cool stuff. So that's Legends in the context of takeoffs. But one of the other ones I mentioned that this is really useful for is punch, and kind of denoting what all these different punch keys mean. So let's take a look at that. To demo that, I'm actually just going to open up a totally blank page. And since we are doing punch, let's swap into my handy punch profile, because in that punch profile, I've already got a bunch of punch keys that I already loaded in here. So for this demo, let's do my cleaning punch keys. So quickly looking at these punch keys, it's hard to tell what exactly they mean, and I can make this a little bit easier by setting detail. And now it gives me the specifics on what these mean. But again, it would be great if this was just right on my drawing. So let's use this tool set to create a legend out of it. So there we go. I just dropped a legend on there. Let's drop some punch keys on there too. So as I'm dropping those punch keys, it's populating them in that legend. But you'll notice that it's just telling me the description as cleaning. That's not very useful to me, is it? I want to know specifically, well, what type of cleaning. So let's change this legend a little bit. So let's turn on that. Actually, let's turn on status, and let's also turn on that comments column. So there we go. This is much more useful to me. I've got specifically the types of cleaning in the comments. And then also I've got this cool status column. So now that I've toggled that on, let's toggle some statuses, shall we? So if I go down here in the markups list, I can set up the status of these punch keys. So I can say this has been accepted, this is rejected, and you'll notice it's updating the status here in that legend as I do that. Let's do completed. Oops, no, I made a mistake. Let's change that to canceled. You'll notice when I did that, not only did it update up here, it keeps a running record down here. So it doesn't simply just overwrite my status. It's going to tell me that this was set completed first by me on that date at that time, and then it was changed by me to canceled. So very cool stuff. This is just a good example of how you can apply legends to takeoffs and then to punch, but lots and lots of different applications for this feature. All right, so let's move along to the Revit enhancements. Again, I know probably not a whole lot of Revit users in this audience, but I just want to hit on it very quickly. I mentioned that the big tweak this year is that Revit rooms will now carry over. I don't have Revit installed on this computer, so I'm just going to show a quick video of how it works in action and just kind of talk to it. So we're looking at Revit right now. Going into the settings for the plugin, you'll see that Export Rooms to Spaces button right there, which is toggled on. We also have the option to export rooms to area measurements as well. If you're doing takeoffs, that would be a really handy tool. But for this video, we're just going to do the regular rooms to spaces there. And go ahead and generate that PDF. And all those rooms were carried over as spaces right there in Revu, so that data is not lost. So very handy feature for any Revit users out there in the world. Next up, document management tool enhancements. So again, those were enhancements to AutoMark, Batch Link, and Batch Flip Sheet. So let's take a look at those, shall we? Firstly, AutoMark. I'm going to just close some of the stuff we have open here. Let's find a good example here. Here's a good one right here. So this one, let me zoom out there so you can actually see it. So this drawing, if you look at my thumbnails panel, you'll notice that this does not have a page label. It just simply says 1. So AutoMark, I mentioned, allows you to create page labels from specific page regions. So let's say I really want this drawing number to be my page label. So I can just do AutoMark by page region and select that page number. And there we go. There's my page label. So the change here in 2016 is that I can do this with vertical text too. So let's go over, let's find some vertical text. I've got a timestamp over here. Let's use that. Same thing. Select by page region. I'm going to say I want this to be my page label. And there it is. So vertical text works as well. Very cool stuff. Next enhancement was Batch Link. So again, Batch Link automatically generates hundreds or even thousands of hyperlinks for your document sets. And the big tweak this year is that if you hyperlink, or excuse me, highlight those hyperlinks, those highlights will no longer clutter up your markups list. So let's take a look at how that works. So I'm going to go to File, Batch, and Link. And let's choose a document set that I want to hyperlink together. There we go. And just like AutoMark, I'm going to use a page region to define all my hyperlinks. So I'm going to say, throughout this document set, I want to hyperlink all these sheet numbers. Go ahead and generate those hyperlinks. So here we go. It's telling me all the instances of those page numbers and where those hyperlinks are going to point to. And this is new. Check out these link options. So these appearance properties, I can set it up to highlight these hyperlinks in blue. And then I can define the style as fill. And when I do this, it's not going to have these show up on the markups list. So let's go ahead and run it and see what it looks like. So there we go. Just a couple seconds. I just generated 295 hyperlinks. So let's go back to my index page here so we can check this out. So all these blue highlights are hyperlinks. So if I want to jump to my A1.1.1, I can just click on that. And then A7.11, jump to that. A7.07, et cetera, et cetera. So it just makes this whole document set far more easy to navigate. And if I go to this markups list, check it out, it's blank. None of those highlights are appearing in the markups list anymore. So it really helps cut down on the clutter for those utilizing batch link. Next improvement is batch slip sheet. So I mentioned batch slip sheet is a feature that allows you to slip sheet large quantities of documents in one automated process. And the big tweak here is that not only does it notify you which ones it successfully matched, it's going to let you know the ones that were not successfully matched as well. So let's take a quick peek at what that looks like. So again, I'm going to go to File and Batch. In this case, slip sheet. It's going to ask me to load in my original drawings. And then I'm going to load in my revisions, and it's not going to matter what order I load them in because it's going to intelligently, automatically match those together. I can define how these are matched. So in this case, I'd like to use my page labels to match them up. And let's go ahead and do it. And it's going to let me know that 8 of these pages were successfully matched. So here's my originals. Here's the revisions that are going to be slip sheeted in. But it's also telling me that 2 of them were not successfully matched. So I have the option to manually select these and match them up. And there we go. So let's go ahead and run this, shall we? So it's going to go ahead and slip sheet all of these drawings. It's letting me know that 5 of these pages were slip sheeted. And I can even create a nice report showing me exactly what happened. And it's all hyperlinked. So if I'd like to see my, my original, I can click on that. Or if I want to see my revision, I can jump to that as well. And if you'd like, you can carry over your markups as well. In this case, I did not choose to do that in the options, but up to your personal preferences. All right, so that is batch slip sheet. Let's jump onwards to tags and drawing logs. So I mentioned this allows you to apply tags to lots of documents in a set and use those tags to quickly generate drawing logs. So let's check that out, shall we? So firstly, let's create a set. So for anyone that's not familiar with what a set means, it's essentially a way to visualize lots of separate one-page PDFs as if they're one cohesive document set. So it's kind of best of both worlds. So you have the easy navigation of a large document set, but the small file size of the individual single-page PDFs. So let's go ahead and create a set. Let's see here. There's my, let's just use these architectural drawings, and I'm going to drop this cover page. I don't need that. And so I loaded in my set. I can go to options now and define those tags I'd like to apply to all those pages. So I've already got the sheet name and number tagged on there. I can also tag the discipline per sheet and sheet type per sheet number. But let's add a couple more. Let's do, I'd like to tag the drawing date, and I'd also like to tag who it was issued by. There we go. So I got a bunch of different tags to apply here. Let's go ahead and run it. So as it's generating this set, it's going to start prompting me for the information for these tags. So firstly, it's asking me, select the page region that contains the sheet name. So just like when we did AutoMark and batch link, I'm going to find that information on the page. So here it is down here. Here's that sheet name, and I'm just going to select that. There we go. And now it's going to ask me, what's the sheet number? Same thing. Let's select that sheet number. Then it's going to ask me, what's the drawing date? Let's say that I goof and I don't even select a date. Let's just select some other text. Well, it's smart enough to know that that's not a valid date. Try it again. So let's try it one more time. Let's use an actual date this time. So there we go. It works. And then it's going to ask me, who was this issued by? So this was issued by an imaginary company, Session Design Company. All right, so now it's going to give me an audit log of all the different tags it's going to apply to these different sheets. And if for whatever reason any of these were incorrect, you can just manually select them and then type in what you would actually like the tag to be. So you can manually override it, but everything looks great to me, so I'm just going to leave it as it is and generate that drawing, or excuse me, generate that set. So here we go. In this left-hand panel, you can see the set I just made. This did not change the file structure at all. These are still single-page individual PDF files, but I'm visualizing them as if it's one big document set, so I can quickly jump between them. And if I go into my Properties panel, you'll notice that as I look at each of these sheets, I can look at all the different tags that have been applied to these sheets. So now that I have these tags on there, now I can create those drawing logs. So let's go to Publish, and let's export a drawing log. I can set up whatever columns I'd like to carry over. I don't really care about file name, page number, file path, superseded, or revision number. So let's leave those off. And let's go ahead and create it. It's going to open up this drawing log in Excel. And there it is right there. So I can send this out to my team. And if they want to jump to any of these specific sheets, these are all hyperlinks. So if I need to see elevators 1 and 2, just click on that and boom, it opens them up right there. Or first floor plan south, again, jumps me right there. So very easy to create these drawing logs and easy to jump between these sheets within the drawing logs as well. So lastly, just to close out here, we're almost at the end of the hour. General enhancements, again, lots and lots, too many to list, but OCR engine is better than ever. Markup alignment tools, as well as the option to export your bookmarks. So just to kind of wrap things up here, and then I'm going to actually stay on the line a little bit longer for Q&A. If anybody would like to stick around, you're welcome to do so. I'll answer your questions. But I want to wrap things up again by thanking Resolve Software Solutions for putting on this webinar. They're a fantastic partner of ours up there in Canada. They can help you with any sort of needs you have, whether it's licensing, training, anything at all. If you don't have their contact information, I've got it right there on the screen. You can give them an email or give them a call at that number on the screen. Again, I recorded this webinar, so I'll send a copy to them so they have that as well. If you want the access to the recording, you can just contact our friends at Resolve and they'll set you up with that. So with that, I'm going to open up the questions panel and let's start answering some of these questions for you. So it actually looks like no questions yet. So I'm just going to hang tight for a couple minutes in case anybody's typing anything out. Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Are there any search capabilities? Yes, there are. And one of the really cool things about Revu is you can search not only for text, you can search for visual aspects, so like symbols. So let me actually show you how that works. I'm just going to close out this thing we're working on. Let's just start with a fresh drawing. Let's do this one right here. So in order to search, I can just pop into this search panel here, And you can, of course, search by text. So if I wanted to search, for example, classroom, you can search by that and see here's all the instances of that word classroom on this drawing. And once I've found all these instances, select them, and there's a variety of different things you can do with them. You can count how many there are, you can redact them, you can hyperlink them. In this case, let's just highlight them. So you can see on the screen all the instances of that word classroom just got highlighted. So that's an example of searching for text. What about searching for symbols? Let's say I wanted to search for all the toilets on this drawing. So let's actually do a visual search, and I'm going to snag this toilet right here. So there we go. You can see a little preview of that toilet there. And I can either search only this drawing, or I could search an entire folder of drawings. Let's say I had a folder with 100 different drawings in there. I could do it in a batch process. But let's just do this one sheet. So just a couple seconds while it runs that, and here's all the toilets that it found down here. And something interesting to note is it caught ones even with lines running through them, even at different orientations. So we have some to the right, to the left, and it still caught them. So again, I can select all those and do whatever I would like. So let's just highlight those as well. Great question. Let's see what else we've got here. Next question, how does the functionality of the tablet/iPad version compare to the desktop version? So there's a little bit of a distinction here to make between Windows tablets versus iPads. So if you're on a Windows tablet, like a full-blown Windows, like Windows Pro, you can just run the full version of Revu on there and have all the features. iPad is a little bit different. So iPad is available on the App Store. It's only $10, very, very inexpensive. It has a ton of functionality in it. So you're going to be able to do markups. You're going to have the markups list. It syncs with Studio. You can collaborate in the cloud. You can use stamps and so on. But it is not going to have full parity with the full-blown version of Revu. So it's not going to have any of these advanced batch features and so forth. If you want to see a full breakdown of all the features, it's on our website. If you go to bluebeam.com and then go to the feature comparison page, you can see the full breakdown of exactly what's in what versions. So I like to really, when I'm talking about the iPad app, I like to describe it as more of a companion product to the full version of Revu. It's not really intended as a replacement for it. So great question, though. Here's a good one. I've heard Bluebeam can find visual differences between one drawing and another. How would I do that? So the feature that you're referring to is actually called compare documents. So let's check that out, shall we? So let's look at, I have this A201, and let's split my screen, and let's also open up a revision. So on the left, I've got my original. On the right, I've got my revision. And if I want to see how they're different, it's pretty easy to kind of navigate around here and look at the various differences between them. So I can see that in this revision, it looks like we added a prep dish and dry storage area, whereas on the original, I don't have those. But we have a feature called Compare Documents that makes this whole process even easier. So let's go ahead and run that. So what Revu does is essentially a pixel-by-pixel comparison of those two drawings. And anywhere that it finds differences, it's going to automatically cloud those. So there's that prep dish and dry storage area that was added on there. Looks like this entryway has been shifted a little bit. We've got a doorway down here that's changed, and so on and so forth. And again, you can do this on a batch process for lots and lots of PDFs at one time, not necessarily just one drawing at a time. So tremendously helpful for finding the differences between revisions. Excellent question here. Just waiting for some more questions here. While I'm waiting for questions, just real quickly, I want to show you a second way of comparing revisions against each other. So I just did what's called compare documents. Another one that you can do is called overlay pages. So overlay pages essentially has sort of a light table effect. So it's going to stack these drawings on top of each other. You can color code them however you would like, and it's going to overlay them on top of each other. So here we have a layered PDF. Anywhere where they were the same, it's just going to be black. Anywhere where they are different is going to be color coded. So you can see here if I toggle these different layers on or off, my revision is green, whereas that original is red. So you can do this with as many revisions as you would like. In this case, I only did 2, but you could do much more than that if you chose to. All right. No more questions in the questions window. Okay. It looks like we don't have any more questions, so we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. So thanks again, everyone, for your time, and hopefully this was helpful for you. It kind of gave you a taste of what Bluebeam Review does. If you have any sort of follow-up questions, the folks over at Resolve Software Solutions are fantastic and would be happy to answer any of your questions. There's also lots of good intel on our website, bluebeam.com, so I'd encourage you to check that out. We have really cool case studies of how real-life customers use our products. We've got videos of how the different features work, comparisons of the different products, so I would encourage you to check that out as well. If you'd like a free trial for the Windows users out there in the world, Resolve actually has their own trial download link, which they can send you as well if you'd like to get your hands on it. And then, of course, when the Mac version comes out very shortly here in just a month, for the Mac users in the world, we encourage you to try the software out then as well. So with that, let's go ahead and wrap things up. Appreciate it and have a great day. Thanks.